Hey y'all, the time is here. Episode 10 of From came out, and everybody else could put their theories to rest, put it to bed, tuck it in, say night night. Everyone was thinking aliens, not so much. People were thinking tons of other theories, and we got our episode and we got our answer. So I wanted to come back on here. I did an episode earlier. Me and my uncle were talking about it and just lightly reviewing the episode and what our first reactions because I saw it already and then he just watched it, so it was like a honest, genuine first reaction. I wanted to capture that, and so now though I'm just going to sit down, go through the pictures and sort of just give a breakdown of it. So from season finale, uh, came on Epix, and I think they're doing a great job with the show. I mean, spectacular writing, characters and acting. I mean, from Boyd's character, who's Harold Perneau, to Donna's character. I don't know her name, but just the whole those two people and some other of the cast people really taking um, a, a role in the show and just becoming likable characters. I mean, you kind of rooting for them, and we see that happening, and we want something to happen. I mean, hey, Jim's not the only one. Yeah, Jim's not the only one who he needs to you know what I'm saying, like, don't let anybody down. Jim, don't let us down either. We're here rooting for Jim and we want Jim to make it. We want the villages people to get free. And every episode it gives us more questions and no answers. I mean, and this is pretty much the same thing. I mean, we get a little bit of progress with Jade and the light bulb. We feel like something's gonna happen, and then of course it switches over here to um, the aftermath of what happened with Boyd and Sarah, as far as them being just dragged wherever, and them not being able to understand like where they're at. I mean, Boyd actually had opportunities to figure it out. I mean, compass maybe. I'm sure he had a compass. I'm sure that an experienced navigator like him had a compass, right? I mean, he can find his way out of this. He can. I mean, it seemed like he was more of a setup person and not a field op. But I mean, I feel like he would at least have a compass, and he might know a direction that he could come from. And then later, when after we see him go through, sort of get his bearings, and he was able to see where or what he thought the light came from. And I'm trying to just remember of how the scene went, and I'm thinking like, didn't I'm trying to think, didn't what happened wasn't it that the the tent started shaking, the noise started making it, and then the light started going, and then they got drug off. So I mean, he's technically could be just they landed where they landed, and he could be saying, "Oh, it came from that direction," but he could have in reality done a whole 360, and he could just be taking a shot in the dark, and what he thinks is that way is actually this way. So, I mean, it's tough for me to actually think how it went, but I guess if you think when they pulled the tent, they were kind of laid on their back, so I guess it was technically one direction, and it was saying that, and so he is saying he needs to go that way. Okay, I can kind of see that. Um, I feel like Sarah stepped up big time. I feel like she just listened, right? That was the first thing. Like she was asking him questions. She was really concerned for this guy. I mean, the most concerned I've seen her with anybody. I mean, I guess she had this side of her from her brother, but it didn't seem like, she showed that to anyone else but her brother. I mean, I really don't feel like I need to speak a lot about this part in the diner. I mean, pretty much breaking down the plan. I really want to talk about bigger things, and I mean, this is a big scene right here with Donna, and Harry. I believe his name is Harry, but he's this is Boy's office, right? I mean, she's trying to put it together. She wasn't at the diner to hear what Jay had to say. And I mean, that's a sign of her being like, hey, I really don't believe in what's going on and want part of it, but I'm hoping, I'm silently hoping for her, for them. And I really think more so that if she was the one who it didn't go right, she was the one who's going to break down. She's the one who's going to have the problem of accepting it and feeling lost. And I really think it's all for her. And that's why she didn't want to put herself in there and really get her hopes up too much, because she probably had the furthest to fall. We don't know how long she been there. I know she talked about her sisters. I know people say 2 or 3 years, but time could have a different meaning in this place. I don't know if anybody ever said that, but time could have a different meaning in this place. For instance, I mean, Victor, the character Victor, he did grow up there, and not saying he's not physical age, but I mean, he might could have been there a lot longer than we actually think. I mean, we have seen that there was, markings on the wall with dates in the past, and also we saw in the bottles that Boyd found, there was a date in there, and that was 1864. And so this time could be just different element there, either slower, faster, or just a longer time period. So what I'm saying is they could have been there a lot longer than they actually thought. And it's kind of, instead of a shorter time, just a 3-year time. I need them to dress Kenny a little bit better though, man. Kenny is Gomer Pyle. But I wanted to point this out, and I saw a couple people pointing this out about the ambulance, and they said it was Troy's. Now, there's no apostrophe and no S on that, right? And why was someone possessive on a vehicle? And why would you also break it down with the bullet points for the acronym? I believe that it stands for they reminisce over you. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, right? I mean, that is the a song, and it is called Troy, and it's about they reminisce over you. The Pete Rock and CL Smooth, who wrote it, one of their friends had just died, and so they made a song about him to sort of memorialize him, and they reminisce over you came about it. But I was also looking at just the symbolism of different things in this episode, and that was all I could really come up with as far as they reminisce over you ambulance. And I guess that's really what it is. Like, if you're in the ambulance at that certain points, it's over, right? They already reminiscing over you. So that was just maybe a until we get more explanation. I'm sticking with my answer. Um, I'm gonna just skip the whole Kenny thing. That's his name, Kenny. I said Harry. I'm gonna skip the whole Kenny thing because we already know where this is going. I mean, this is building up for more of a letdown because one of these two characters is going to get a baseball bat to the head. I mean, I can just see it now. I mean, that seems to be the tone of these type of shows, and but we'll see how things end up with Kenny. As far as he's definitely the type to sacrifice himself for her, and I think that's something that he would do just so she could get back to her family. I mean, I feel like that's Kenny's main role in this show. And then I want to talk about this guy. I mean, what is his name? First of all, I know he's just a bartender guy, and he was pretty much the one. So I mean, this is how they say, like, if you're at a bar in real life and you drink too much and the bartender leaves, let you go, you get into an accident and die. Is that bartender responsible for 100% serving you all that liquor? Right? And so, first episode, what happens? Dude is smash face at his bar, can't even make it home. His whole family dies. Is this guy not to blame? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But anyway, he doesn't want to help with the tower. Douchebag move number two, wipes out a whole family, right? Doesn't want to help with the tower. He's worse than Jim. At least Jim is giving them the false hope. This guy don't even want to give him any. He's got his leather vest on. I mean, he just looks I don't know. But anyway, if there's guys like him who really don't leave their house, we have to assume that there's more people who don't leave their house. And one of the things I think is, like, a lot of these village people are involved in this that they don't know. I mean, he kind of said here that he has saw like a lot of people and a lot of people because Boyd and them has been there three. Father Catry was there since they've been hiding in holes, right? And so, what do you mean a lot of people? Like who? Because that was maybe 5 years right there, right? So you've been here 20 years, dude. Like, how is this really working? So sometimes I think, like, instead of letting some of these people go, we need to, like, collectively get information from everybody call a town hall meeting and really get to the bottom of this. So he's definitely on my list. My list of suspicious characters was definitely Sarah. It is Kenny's mom, and then now bartender guy, no BAC bartender guy, right? Keep you all night. All right. So boy's son gets married. Congratulations. He did it the right way. Not a fancy wedding. Doesn't have to spend anything on the wedding or the ring. That's the way to do it, my guy. And so I'm not gonna lie. Just knowing how writers are, when the trailers, the picture came out for season 10, I 100% believed that it was going to be moths. And so because I know that there was heavy connections with spiders, and I was on board for the spider, but it just is, to me, the spider is more of a symbolism, right, than it is an actual thing, right? I mean, I believe if you Google some of the, like, what the spider means in like the Nordic or Celtic or anything, it has a representation that I think was bigger than a physical thing, right? And a person embodiment, right? I felt it was like Jim. I said it was Jim. And so I've seen tons of shows where there might be a thicker haunted forest and it's just covered with more moss, or could be like called Indian mealworms nests and stuff like that. So that's what I kind of thought, because it was more so on top, not in between. Spiders kind of lay webs in between things where air blows, so that way they can catch stuff. This kind of heavy netting was kind of a bit different, and so it has to be, from a canopy. So it would have to be spiders above, kind of dropping it on the top, not through, because you'll walk into a spider web, and there are spider webs there, of course, in front of them, but it just wasn't the type I was talking about or thinking about. And so, was there really a body there? Like, did he really see? Was it not his wife, or maybe it was another body that he saw? That's another thing I was thinking. Maybe it was just a body in there in general, because, and I thought this was what really did the damage, the touch. Cause I'm like, man, if this was a creature, right, or some sort of monster, and it touched him, you know, it could have swapped his soul. I mean, we've seen stuff like that, possessions, it could have been tons of things, but it had to be all just a figment of his imagination, because it didn't leave any cuts, or it didn't hurt him in any way, and it didn't seem to suck the life from him. So it might have been all in his head. He steps on the spider's nest. Now look at these guys, man. These guys are tiny, but they're 6 legs, right? So I'm trying to figure out how many legs these things have. One, two, three. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I wanted to match this up with the drawings in the cave that we saw later. Man, those things were big and hard. They weren't even furry. Thank God. I mean, well, see, that one on the back was furry, but I didn't think the one that bit him on the front initially was furry. So, but he definitely, man. I mean, his back would have swelled up like a golf ball if a spider that size had bit him. I mean, that's some worst nightmare type of stuff. I actually thought he was going to pull out the gun and shoot himself, because that's how bad the spiders are. Uh, so, boy, it's, to me, he seemed to be more high than anything. Like the spider was like, he was more like, sort of like delusional and kind of lost hope, other than sick and ill. Like, I don't think that he was sick. He didn't really have that sick look from the spider bite, just more that he had lost hope. He kind of gave up. He pretty much was about to quit. I mean, but what would have happened if he stayed there? I mean, I know you're right. You got to take shelter, but I do agree. I think that they are outside the boundary of where those things can find them. I mean, I feel like underneath the town is connected, like we saw in that fishbowl in seasons episode 7. But I do feel like, that they can't get to him right now. And so even if he did stay out there all night, I feel like he would still be okay. Like, he would just be out there all night. Let's see. Jade, I mean, we're getting a lot of character development for Jade, but I feel like Jade's story is more one of loss, right? So he has his company, he lost it. He had this friend that was there with him who died, who was killed by Sarah. He lost it. He's trying to find. He had his tech company. He lost that. I mean, he had his grandmother. He said he lost that. I mean, he feel like he's getting his grandmother back. And he's going to lose that again. He's just not going to. His story is one of loss, but I feel like everybody here story is one of loss. Sacrifice, loss, and sacrifice is usually those heavy motifs. Jade coming into the manor like a complete nutso, complete nutso, while everybody's at the lamp at the lighting section of Home Depot. And this guy pretty much strikeout number two for Kenny. And here we go. Here's the big the big setup for the punchline, which is the tower. And now everybody was pretty much thinking like that it was going to spark and send this like a sound wave, and that possibly more monsters were going to come, and that didn't happen. It looked like he built the tower really to kiss his wife because I hadn't seen them do anything like that. I honestly hadn't seen anybody do. Well, no, I can't say that because those people were humping in season one or season two. But look at these extras, man. I mean, these guys, I thought that was the Property Brothers from HGTV, but they're not. But then what's up with his wife? She kisses him, she's proud of him, and then she says plan B, and she goes out on her own and starts digging in the tunnel. Like all these people here, she just saw how important that teamwork was, right? How far you can get with teamwork. And she says, okay, I'm leaving now to go to plan B, and bounces. I mean, at least take if she had just took those four or five people with her, right? I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? And Jenny McCarthy pretty much points out that there's the storm is coming. Now, I tried to look and see like where the storm is coming from. Like, is it like does it seem like an entity? Does it seem like a twister, like a hurricane? Like does it seem like it's being caused by any other thing other than a natural cause? And it seemed very natural. It did seem ominous, but that was the tone of the scene. And then I also tried to see if there was anything else in the background. And looking to the left, I mean, I do see. I don't know if you guys can see my pointer, but it looks like to the left, I do see a little bit of something over here, but it could just be more cloud formations. But it did look like there was sort of like here's the little valley, and this could be some sort of building. I don't see a lighthouse, but I feel like if they are correct on the top of the manor, they should be able to see the lighthouse. I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to see the lighthouse unless unless it's on the other side of those mountains or that ridge. I mean, this is really my first time them looking out or even in that direction. So I don't know what direction they are, but it seems like from here, the way the lighthouse is, you would be able to see that from a distance. I mean, and it kind of is not at the highest point. Maybe so. It's kind of like on the side, so maybe that's why it's not as visible. But I feel like they would have at least gotten that or seen that from wherever the townsfolk would have been able to see that. So once again, more mysteries on that. I don't think we're going to get anything from the lighthouse. I don't. Boy can't be in the lighthouse. I mean, we all know that he jumped into the tree. And I kind of wanted to stick with the lighthouse, but I guess I'll go jump right to the phone call, the CB radio call that Jim got. I mean, police. They say police are not required to monitor the CB, so it could have been just been a regular person. And when he did, he said, "Hey, he didn't know what to say, first of all." And then he was kind of like, "Hey, where are you?" And I feel like that was the worst thing to ask. I feel like he should have started with, "We needed help. People been hurt. There's monsters." I feel like that would have been more of an honest first words after speaking to someone in this situation. He goes, "Where are you?" Like, what? Where are you? Where I mean, that to me, that's like a question. Where are you? Like, why are you ask him a question? Tell them something. Tell them what's going on. Expose this whole situation if you could as fast as you could. But he goes, "Where are you?" Because Jim knows. I'm telling you, think about it. Jim knows who this is. He instantly, I'm gonna watch it again. He instantly recognizes the voice. I bet you he recognized the voice. I bet you he knows who exactly who that is. And that's the reason why he knew who he was. But now, don't get me wrong, we did hear from one of the showrunners or whoever the people were that all these people, all the things know all this about all of them. And they said it was like scary about how much they actually know about them. But that's my theory. Jim is a bad guy. I'm sorry to tell y'all, and I can stand on this for entire another year pushing how Jim is the bad guy. And I can do more videos over analyzing everything that Jim does because he's the villain. And then when I'm right, then I can tell you I told you so. All right. But look, did Donna? Here's another thing. Did Donna recognize the voice? You get what I'm saying? Because she didn't want them to do that, and she just kept saying it. And what it seemed like could be her hope and despair could have also been because she herself knew what was out there. Remember, there's tons of people who I think are suspicious in this town. I told you, Sarah was one, Kenny's mom, Donna, Jim, and Victor. And I think it's not so much that Victor, I think Victor has figured it out because he's been there so long, but it's not like he was in on it. I feel like that's one of those things. Um, and so, yeah, I think Donna recognized it because she didn't even know what to say. I mean, what could she have said to the girl when the girl said, "Well, Donna, what happened?" She would have been like, "There was a voice on the phone, and I guess it is hard to explain." He told him that his wife was digging a hole. Like, what? What are you talking about? But I think that she really knew who the voice. Somebody knew who the voice was, and it could have been either Jim or Donna. So that's definitely a cliffhanger point at that. I mean, okay, so we found out where the wires went, and the wires are just hanging in space, pretty much hanging in the air. Now, I when we did our review earlier, my guest said that Tesla had, and I believe he was talking about Nikola Tesla, had proved that it is possible to wirelessly charge things, and maybe this all could be military installation with some sort of, you know, parameters for experiments. I mean, kind of could be when you see these little fake towns, it could be like little scenarios that they're little running to test out their projects, whether it's the monsters or the giant spiders or whatever else they have that they could do, giant towers. But the caption for this episode said she would connect or find someone she least expected. I feel like, man, we all knew that she was going somebody he was going to pop up somewhere, meaning Victor. We all figured that Victor was going to pop up somewhere, and the only place he could have been was down there. I feel like that was such a giveaway, but nonetheless, I was happy that she wasn't down there alone, and that's real because I mean, nightmare situations all around. I mean, first of all, she digs down there with that dull shovel, and then Jim doesn't even help. Jim didn't help at all. And then she falls an extra 30 feet, I mean, and then the last thing you want to do is be down there by yourself. But thank God, Victor, right where you need him when you need him. I wanted to see the picture on the wall. A lot of people were saying that they were trying to figure out what that was. I mean, cave drawings. I mean, I feel like you're right. Some symbols we're not going to know, but I feel like we can depict a lot. I mean, this is obviously people. This is obviously graves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I wanted to go back and see because when Victor said he started digging the graves, he said he was getting ahead on it. And I wanted to know how many graves he dug because they had just lost 14. And so if they had lost 14 people before, he didn't dig 14 graves. I feel like he dug 7 because it could be, let's see, Jim, his wife, his daughter, his boy, his son, and Donna, right? I mean, or it had to be Jade. Okay, so maybe the main important people. It looks like people fighting. It looks like people celebrating. This is like people holding hands. This is definitely the birds, and a couple other things I couldn't. And I'm just trying to memorize some of these symbols just in case I see them again. I have no clue what this could be. This sort of the logo here in the middle. um, with the lines coming through it, and that's what makes me think of it's a corporation or a chemical or some sort of military patch for some sort of government organization. I mean, that's usually what these things turn out to be. This section over here looked like people in a boat and down a river, right, with the trees on the side. And so I really feel like we are 100% going to get to a boat. Boy's gonna get in his keys. Going He's gonna be able to use his key for his boat, and maybe it's a story. I mean, we would read from left to right, but for whatever reason, it looks like it goes from right to left. So if I rewind it back a little bit, it looked like, let's see if I can get it to go. It looked like, it all started. The birds came. It was Adam, man and woman, and then this would have to be the devil, right? I mean, if we're talking about these type of stories and chapters in the Bible, this would have to be some sort of embodiment of the devil. Now, I counted the legs, and there were six. The spiders did also have six legs, but it kind of didn't look like a spider. It kind of looked like a what they called it, like a octopus creature, like a kraken or something like that, or some were saying like a chalua, not the chalupa, but the, the squid monster, sort of like from HP Lovecraft or whatever, or some sort of guardian. Or if you look at it like this, it could be two places. It could be one side and the other side. It could be the village and it could be outside the village. That's sort of how I could look at it. And this is the barrier that they would have to cross, and this could be a embodiment for some sort of something. Then you have that could be the village, right? Because remember, they were saying where everybody is, and they're kind of trapped, right? And then those are all the people who are running it, and these could be the two people at the top who are running it, and these are two people who are the people in it, or something like that. And then they escape on the river. So that was that was a breakdown of what I think. I try to interpret that. And then we see Jim finally get into the house all late and wrong, but not for nothing, because nobody told her to go. Boy giving up, and then boy getting into the faraway tree. And I feel like they put him in the worst place ever. I mean, god damn, they have to do him like that. I mean, imagine if it was just a coffin. I mean, my uncle said that he thought it might have been a chimney. I figured it was a well just from the way they zoomed out. I feel like a chimney, you would have had some sort of uh light at the top, or it could be, I mean, what else is made of stone? It did look like that lighthouse was made of stone. So maybe it is the lighthouse. He's just in a part of it, maybe. So if he is in the lighthouse, I mean, that actually is great, because then he doesn't have to walk that far, but he has to get out of there. But I feel like that's still an easy walk out of. And then here back at the diner, it transitioned to this bus coming from Grand Rapids, and we both know that the EMT girl is from Grand Rapids. And so, yes, to go ahead and be direct and answer your questions, we do think that her fiance is here on this bus. Now, how is a really good question. I do believe there is some sort of magical element to this, where things they say can come true at certain times with certain intent and at certain times, right? She said it, and here it is. And maybe it's a thing as far as like they don't know who wishes for what. But if you think about what else has come through, I mean, we have seen some sort of supernatural element. All right, so I just wanted to get in here and give it a quick breakdown. Do I have any plans for season 2? I mean, yes, I got more mysteries. I got more of the same thing. We're of course going to find out where Boyd is. I believe he's going to go to the lighthouse. He's going to use his key, go to the river. I believe that more people in the village are going to die, unfortunately. I feel like uh Jim, we're gonna find out that Jim is involved. I mean, because where could his character go? And I feel like his wife, Victor's gonna get her out of there, and we're gonna find out that there's a person at the top of this, and then that's gonna be season 2 ending. But so far, good from great so far, from good to great. from good, from great so far. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm definitely gonna watch it again, and I love to talk theories with you guys. So look, please hit that subscribe button and let me know your comments below. And let's talk. Give me all the theories. Tag me on Reddit stuff. I'm with all that stuff. So it's all great to hear. It's all great to talk movies. I am the movie guru, and this is another great episode. Until next time.